Welcome back to another deeply enriching episode of Journey to Success. I'm Emily Carter, your host, and today we're exploring a topic that holds profound power for healing and growth: learning to forgive. Joining us is an extraordinary guest, Dr. Elizabeth Hayes, a clinical psychologist, best-selling author, and reconciliation expert who's guided thousands to release resentment and embrace peace. Elizabeth, it's an absolute privilege to have you with us today.
Thank you, Emily. I'm truly honored to be here and dive into a subject that's not just about letting go, but about reclaiming your heart and freedom through the transformative act of forgiveness.
I'm so eager to hear your wisdom. Forgiveness can feel like a heavy lift, especially when wounds run deep. Elizabeth, let's start with the big picture. Why is learning to forgive so essential for personal growth and well-being, and how does it shape our journey?
That's a beautiful question, Emily, and it really captures the essence of why forgiveness is so vital. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the weight of resentment, anger, or pain that binds you to past hurts. It's not about excusing harm or forgetting. It's about choosing to release its hold over your heart, mind, and life. It's essential for well-being because holding on to grudges fuels stress, erodes health, and clouds your ability to connect, create, and thrive. When you forgive, you reclaim energy, foster resilience, and open space for joy, relationships, and purpose. It's a gift you give yourself, unlocking a path to growth and peace that success alone can't provide. I think of Nelson Mandela, who forgave his captors after 27 years in prison, saying, "As I walked out the door toward freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness behind, I'd still be in prison." His forgiveness rebuilt a nation. Early in my own journey, I was a counselor in Denver, carrying a grudge against a colleague who betrayed my trust on a project. I'd replay the hurt, losing sleep, my work suffering. But when I chose forgiveness, through journaling, reframing their actions, I felt lighter. My focus returned, my practice grew, and I wrote books that help others heal. Forgiveness doesn't erase pain. It transforms it, shaping a life where you're no longer defined by what hurt you, but by how you rise above it.
That's such a liberating perspective. Elizabeth, forgiveness as freedom for yourself. Mandela's story is so powerful. You mentioned your own struggle with a colleague. Can you walk us through how someone can start learning to forgive, especially if they feel stuck in anger or pain?
Absolutely, Emily. The first step is to acknowledge the pain fully. Forgiveness begins with honesty. Name what hurt you, how it felt, without minimizing it. Write it down or say it aloud to a trusted friend or even yourself. This isn't about wallowing but about giving the pain a voice so it can start to loosen its grip. I draw inspiration from Maya Angelou, who said, "You can't heal what you don't acknowledge." Her courage to face trauma fueled her poetry and wisdom. When I was betrayed, I'd brush it off, "It's fine." But anger simmered, draining me. Angelou's honesty helped. I wrote, "I feel humiliated, dismissed." Naming it eased the knot in my chest, letting me see my colleagues' flaws, not my worth. I began forgiving by wishing them well silently. It shifted me. My sessions improved. I coached a client named Sarah, a teacher hurt by a friend's gossip, stuck in rage. She thought forgiveness meant weakness. Inspired by Angelou, she journaled, "I'm betrayed, invisible." It softened her. She forgave, rebuilt trust, and led a school project. Acknowledging pain isn't surrender. It's the first step to releasing it, paving the way for forgiveness. Another step is to reframe the story. Try seeing the offender's perspective. Not to excuse them but to humanize them. Ask, what might have driven them? This builds empathy, loosening resentment. I learned this from Desmond Tutu, who led South Africa's reconciliation, saying, "Forgiveness is not forgetting. It's choosing to remember differently." His empathy healed divides. I reframed my colleague's betrayal. Maybe they felt threatened. I didn't justify it, but it helped me let go. I thrived launching workshops. Sarah reframed her friend's gossip. Perhaps insecurity drove it. She forgave, strengthening their bond. Reframing and acknowledging pain don't erase hurt. They guide you toward forgiveness, restoring your peace.
I love those starting points. Elizabeth, naming pain and reframing stories. Angelou and Tutu make it so approachable. But what about when the hurt feels too big, like a deep betrayal or a trauma? How do you even begin to forgive then?
Oh, Emily, those profound hurts, betrayals, traumas, can feel like they've carved a permanent mark on your soul. The key is to start with self-compassion. Forgive yourself first for any guilt or shame you carry, like "I should have known" or "I'm weak for hurting." This builds strength to extend forgiveness outward slowly. One tool is a compassion letter. Write to yourself, offering kindness as you would a friend. I draw from Viktor Frankl, who survived camps by finding meaning, saying, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." His self-forgiveness fueled resilience. When a mentor plagiarized my work, the betrayal crushed me. I blamed myself for trusting. I felt broken. Frankl's compassion helped. I wrote, "You didn't cause this, you're learning." It healed me enough to wish my mentor well, freeing my creativity. My book soared. I coached a client named Michael, a chef whose partner stole savings, leaving him bitter. He hated himself for failing. Inspired by Frankl, he wrote, "You trusted, you're enough." It softened him. He forgave, rebuilt his restaurant. Self-compassion doesn't rush forgiveness. It prepares your heart, making big hurts feel less overwhelming. Another strategy is setting boundaries with forgiveness. You can forgive without reconciling. Protect your peace by limiting contact or redefining the relationship. I learned this from Oprah Winfrey, who says, "Forgiveness is giving up the hope that the past could be any different." Her boundaries built her empire. I forgave my mentor but stopped collaborating. My stress dropped, my coaching grew. Michael forgave his partner but ended ties. His focus returned, earning awards. Boundaries and compassion make deep forgiveness possible, letting you heal without reopening wounds.
That's so profound. Elizabeth, self-compassion and boundaries as forgiveness keys. Frankl and Oprah bring it to life. You've mentioned incredible figures like Mandela and Angelou. Are there other famous people whose forgiveness inspires you?
Oh, definitely, Emily. Forgiveness shines through so many lives. Take Malala Yousafzai, who forgave her attackers, saying, "I do not even hate the Talib who shot me." Her grace amplified her education fight, earning a Nobel. When a client slandered my work, I leaned on Malala. I forgave, focusing on my mission. My talks tripled. I coached a client named Olivia, a nurse hurt by a colleague's lie. Malala's heart led Olivia to forgive. She led a care team thriving. Another is Martin Luther King Jr., who forgave oppressors, saying, "Forgiveness is not an occasional act. It is a constant attitude." His love drove justice. When a workshop failed, blamed on me, King's attitude helped. I forgave, revised, it sold out. Olivia, inspired by King, forgave her colleague. Her unit's morale soared. Then there's Fred Rogers, who forgave critics of his gentleness, saying, "Love is at the root of everything." His kindness touched millions. I coached a client named Ethan, a coder betrayed by a friend's theft. Rogers' love led him to forgive. He built a startup, mentoring others. These icons show forgiveness isn't weakness. It's strength, healing you and the world.
Those stories are so uplifting, Elizabeth. Malala, King, Rogers, they show forgiveness's power. What about when you struggle to forgive yourself, like for past mistakes or failures? How do you move forward?
Self-forgiveness is often the hardest, Emily. Those inner wounds like regret or shame can linger, whispering you're not enough. The key is to reframe your mistakes as lessons. See errors as proof you're human, growing, not as verdicts on your worth. One tool is a growth list. Write what you learned from a mistake and how it shaped you positively. I draw from J.K. Rowling, who forgave her struggles, saying, "It is impossible to live without failing unless you live so cautiously you might as well not have lived." Her self-forgiveness wrote Harry Potter. When I misjudged a client's needs, causing a rift, I beat myself up. I'm a terrible therapist. Rowling's lessons helped. I listed. I learned to clarify goals. I'm more attentive now. I forgave myself, improving my practice. My book hit lists. I coached a client named Rachel, a writer ashamed of a flopped book. She felt stupid. Inspired by Rowling, she listed. I learned pacing. I'm braver. She forgave, wrote a hit. Reframing mistakes builds self-forgiveness, restoring your light. Another strategy is practicing self-kindness. Treat yourself with the grace you'd offer a friend, soft words, rest, small joys. I learned this from Brené Brown, who says, "Talk to yourself like you would to someone you love." Her kindness fuels her work. I'd soothe myself post-mistake, a walk. You're trying. It healed me, boosting talks. Rachel tried kindness tea. You're growing. Her confidence grew. Kindness and lessons make self-forgiveness a path to stronger self-esteem.
That's so healing. Elizabeth, lessons and kindness as self-forgiveness tools. Rowling and Brown make it clear. How do we sustain forgiveness long-term, especially when old hurts or triggers resurface?
Sustaining forgiveness is like nurturing a garden. It blooms with steady care, even when weeds of hurt creep back. One habit is daily gratitude. Reflect on what's good: health, loved ones, growth, to soften resentment's pull. I learned this from Desmond Tutu, who says, "Gratitude is the antidote to bitterness." His grace healed nations. I list thanks nightly, clients' sunsets. It keeps me forgiving, my practice grows. I coached a client named Anna, a lawyer stung by a family feud. Tutu's gratitude led her to note joys. She forgave, rebuilt ties. Another key is revisiting your why. Remind yourself why you forgave: peace, freedom to stay committed. Viktor Frankl endured for meaning, saying, "Those who have a why can bear almost any how. My why, helping others, holds me steady, my books thrive." Anna's why, family, kept her forgiving. She's close-knit now. Also, practice empathy regularly. See others' humanity even in conflict. It reinforces forgiveness. Michelle Obama says, "When they go low, we go high." Her empathy lifts her work. I empathize with critics. It frees me, my talks soar. I coached a client named Mark, a salesman hurt by a boss's scorn. Obama's empathy led him to forgive. He's promoted. Mentoring. Finally, build a support circle. Share your journey with uplifters, friends, mentors, who reinforce forgiveness. Fred Rogers leaned on love, saying, "You're enough as you are. My group lifts me." These habits, gratitude, purpose, empathy, support, sustain forgiveness for life.
Those are such vibrant tools, Elizabeth. Tutu's gratitude, Frankl's why, Obama's empathy. It's a blueprint for peace. As we close, what's one final piece of advice for listeners ready to learn forgiveness today?
My biggest advice is to choose one forgiving act now. Forgiveness starts with a single brave step. Think of Abraham Lincoln, who forgave rivals, saying, "Do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friends?" For me, it was that first journal sparking a life of peace. One last story. I coached a single dad named Brian, a carpenter betrayed by a partner, bitter and stuck. We looked at Malala Yousafzai, who forgave attackers, saying, "I raise my voice for peace." Brian journaled one kind wish for his partner. It freed him. He rebuilt his shop, teaches kids. If Brian can forgive, so can you. Pick one act today. Write a hurt wish well, be kind to yourself. That step builds a life of boundless healing.
What a beautiful way to wrap up, Elizabeth. Brian's story, alongside legends like Lincoln and Malala, shows forgiveness is universal. Thank you for sharing such profound wisdom and practical steps. I know our listeners are ready to find peace.
Thank you, Emily, and to all the listeners. I hope you feel empowered to forgive and soar.
And that's it for today's episode of Journey to Success. If this conversation touched your heart, and I'm certain it did, please hit that subscribe button to catch every healing episode. Share this with someone ready to let go, and join us next time for more insights to fuel your journey. Until then, keep choosing forgiveness, one brave step at a time.